Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap 4 tutorial. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, in this video we're going to create some image with a little overlay, a coloured overlay, and a little button that you can link to wherever you want to link it to. To do this, we're going to be using Brackets text editor, which I've got here. It's free. You can download it from a link below this video. And we're also going to be using some extensions, which are also free. If you go to File, down to an Extension Manager, it'll open up your Extension Manager. And I'm going to go over to my little Install button here. I'm going to be using Bootstrap Starter Template today and Bootstrap 4 Snippets. They're all free to download. If you don't have them, if you just install Brackets, go to the available. Just type in Bootstrap. And it'll give you a list of the available plugins or extensions that you can get here. Like I say, they're all free. As you can see, I've got these installed already. Install whichever ones you want. You just hit the Install tab like we've got here. It'll either automatically install it or it'll take you to a page where you can download a zip file. Once you've downloaded it, simply drag it to this little box here and it will automatically install it for you. So let's get started. Alright, so I've just got a folder here with nothing in it apart from another folder, which I've got some images in, 1 through 7, just because we need some images to do what we've got to do today. And this particular folder is where I'm going to put my index HTML, which is what we're going to create right now. So I'm going to go up to File, and I've got the Bootstrap template extension installed, so you can see it right there. So I'm just going to click on it. Bingo, we've automatically got a little page created here. So what I need to do is save it, save as. And here's that little folder that I just showed you. I'm going to save it in there and I'm going to call it index, index.html. You've always got to give it the file extension so Bracket knows what you're trying to save it as. So we save that now. Once you've saved it, it's now in our folder. You can double click on it and it'll open it in your browser of choice. I'm using Google Chrome. I suggest you do the same because it's just awesome. Alright, so what we've got here, a little nav bar and a little section. So let's start to build our little site. First thing I'm going to do is they call this a main role. I'm just going to change this into a section. Means I have to change the closing tag into a section also. And we'll leave it as main, that's fine. Actually, we'll give it an ID. ID equals main, that's fine. So it's got an ID of main and a class of container. There's that bit of text inside there. Not really interested in that at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this actual container bit. I'm going to wrap everything below in a container. So I'm going to say div with a class of container. And then I've got to chop off that closing div tag there, Control X to cut, and put it on the bottom. Control V. So now we've got a section which is full width, and inside there we've got a container or div with the class of container. And another little extension you can get for your brackets is something called Beautify. So if I select this and hit Beautify, edit, go down to Beautify here, it automatically aligns it all the way it should be, which is kind of handy too. And again, you can just open your extension manager and do that. Okay. Underneath this, I just want to create a row, somewhere to put our images. So I'm going to create div with the class of row. Close that out. Now, the row that I've created wants to stretch the width of our container, and within there I want to put 3 images. Now, Bootstrap is made up of a division of 12. So if you think of the whole width of a span, it is 12. So if I want 3 of something in there, I've got to divide 12 by 3, which would be 4. So I'm going to create 3 columns that are all 4 long. So another div with a class equals column medium 4. Now, the reason we've written medium 4 here, I'm going a little into depth here. Please feel free to skip ahead if you know all this already. Is on medium-sized screens, there'll be 3 of them here because we've told it wants to be 4, and 3 4s equal 12, which is the full width. If on a smaller device, say when it goes to an iPhone, I wanted it to be full width, one just taking up the full width, I'd also write column small 12. So on medium screens and anything larger, it's going to be 4, which will be a third. And on small screens or anything smaller, it'll be the whole width. There's a bit of Bootstrap for you. Now let's put in our first image. Now, if we go back to the folder where we saved our index.html, remember I had a folder inside there. I called it img. You can call yours whatever you want. Images, pictures, whatever you want to call it. Just remember what you've called it. It's pretty standard. And my images are inside there 1 through 7. And this folder that we're working on is called the root folder, where the index.html resides. So let's add our image here. Open a pointy bracket. I'm going to say image img, which is standard for image. And source, where it lives, the source of the image. Let's open some brackets, and it's in our image folder, img. If we /, it's already showing us all the images that we've got in there. Now, all images should have an alt tag, and an alt tag is a descriptive version of the image. Say if it's a girl with brown hair, brown-haired girl. Or a lot of people use it for SEO purposes and put in, stuff about their site, keywords or key phrases for their site. I'm just going to leave that blank for the moment because it's pretty irrelevant for us. Alright, so we now got a row that's got 1 column, which is a third of it. So we should have 1 image there. Let's just copy this over another 2 times. Control C. Actually, before I do that, this image, I want to give it a class. I want to call it image fluid. That kind of makes it responsive, and it'll img-fluid, F-L-U-I-D. That means it will fill up the available space. So when it's a column of 4, it'll fill up a third of the space there. When it's a column of 12, it'll fill up the whole 12. And it'll stretch to fill the available space in its parent div, which is this one. Alright, so we've got that now. Now let's copy it across. Control C to copy. drop down one, Control V to paste, Control V to paste one more time. And let's just change these images out. I've got image 1, really exciting names I put in there, 2, and image 3. Now once you deselect it, you should be able to hover over them with your mouse. It should show you the images that you've actually used here. There, so that's fine. Now let's save that and just take a look, see what we've got. Control S to save. And back to our browser. Refresh. Now when I refresh, we should have 3 little images in a row here. Boom, boom, boom. There we are. And as I say, they're a third each. This whole section's 12 across, so divide 12 by 3 and you've got 4, so they're columns of 4. Okay, so we've got the images. Now what I want to do is have some text inside those images. So how are we going to do that? I want to add a button in here that only appears when we hover over it. And to do that, let's go back to our bracket software. And under each of these images, I'm going to create another little div. I'm going to give it the class of, let's call it overlay so we know what we're talking about. Because we only want it to appear when we put our mouse over it. So overlay. Now initially this is going to be here all the time. Now inside here I'm going to use another one of our shortcodes from our extension manager up here. I want to put a button. So let's say Bootstrap 4 button. I happen to know these shortcodes. If you don't, I'll show you quickly. You can go to your extension manager. Once it's loaded, I'm going to use, I think probably Bootstrap snippets under. I can't remember, but I remember the code itself. And you just go to the more info button. It'll take you to their GitHub page. It's opened it in another monitor over here for me. And if you scroll down, it gives you a list of all the shortcodes, so you can find the shortcodes there. I think actually that was the wrong one, but that's fine. Like I say, if you load the ones you want, it may have been that one, and use whichever ones you want. And the shortcode I'm going to use is for a button with an outline, so it's BS4 BTN, and put an O on the end. It'll prompt you for the other ones here, and I want to use just a light button overlay, and inside let's just write something like let's go. Okay, and let's just copy this over so we've got it under our other little images there. Control C, copy, Control V to paste. Common on most Windows programs, I know. I think it's Command V and Command C on Mac computers. Okay, great. So we've given that the class of overlay. But what does overlay actually mean? Nothing at the moment because we haven't created the CSS for it. So let's actually create that bit of CSS. Do you want to see what this looks like now? I mean, they should be there, but we don't particularly want them to be there. So let's save this. Control S to save. And go back to our site. And refresh. There's not a whole lot of anything right there, is there? I think there's the button. It's actually down there underneath the image. You can't see it because it's white on white. I guess I could give this a dark background so you can see what's going on. So if we go back to our brackets, by default it's got some a bit of CSS up here, and we'll use this for our CSS. And let's just give this section, where are we? Called it main. Let's give it a background color of say blue. So it was an ID. And IDs use hashtags, whereas classes use periods or dots. Main. Open and close some curly brackets. And let's say background blue, or whatever colour you want. Save that, Control S, back to the site. There we go, that's now got a background colour of blue, as you see, and you can actually see the padding. What I'm going to do is I'll give it a bit of padding on the bottom so we've got a bit of working space. Do we want it on the top? I think it was alright on the top, wasn't it? So that should give it a bit of space. And I've got a feeling Control S to save. There we go, we've got a bit of space at the bottom. Well, what we want this button to be here. We want it to be in the middle of our image right here. But we really only want it to be there when we hover over, when we put our mouse cursor over this image here. So let's see if we can't do that with a bit of CSS. Now we gave it the class of overlay. Like I said before, class period. We start with a period or a dot. Overlay. Okay, now let's open and close some curly brackets. Now the first thing we want to tell it is it's a positioning thing. So we want to say position. And we want to say absolute. Always remember to put your little semicolon after that. And we want it to be in the middle, so let's say halfway from the top. So let's say top 50%. And we want it halfway, you know, in the middle, so we'll say left 50%. So it's 50% from the top, and we want it 50% from the left. So that should hopefully be in the middle when we do it. So we'll say left 50%. Okay. Now, this overlay, we want it to have a color. So I could give it blue, but that's going to make it kind of disappear within that blue frame there. Well, let's try that. We can always change it. We can always change it in a moment. I'll say light blue. How's that sound? Because I'm talking, I forgot to put semicolons after these. And if you do that, what it happens is it won't read anything below there, so it's not going to work. So we'll say background, color. And as you can see, it does prompt you. You can always just click on that if you don't want to type the rest of it. And I'm going to say light blue. There's a light blue. Let's just click on that one. It's probably going to be a little pale for what I want, but we can always change it. And what do we want? We want a semicolon. Okay. And we want it to go the whole height. Say height of what it's overlaying on top of. So we'll say 100%. And again, we want it to span the whole width, which is also 100%. All right, well that should take care of most of it. What we're going to have to do, that's still not going to, this is only going to be the color, but for that little box that we created, it's still going to be in the wrong place. Let's just see what we've got there. This should take care of the color overlay. Control S. Let's go back to the site. and refresh. Yep. Okay, we've got here's our light blue overlay, but of course we don't want to see this right now. We'll take that in a minute. But it's in the wrong place. And our button is getting towards the middle, but it's still not quite in the right place. So what we've got here, there's one box or one overlay, another overlay, and another overlay. So let's see if we can't get this thing to be in the right place. Let's go back to our CSS. Let's create another class and call it center. Well, no, let's call it CTR for kind of centering. We want to center those little boxes and the little overlay there. So what we need to do, we need to give our overlays another class, center, CTR. Just copy this over to the other ones. There we are. Now they've got the overlay class and they've got this new class that we've just created called center, which we can kind of want to offset. We want to push these boxes up and to the left a bit. Looks like that's right in the middle right there. So we probably want to go up by 50% and left by 50%. But I think that's going to still leave that thing there. We'll see. Let's try it. So in our center, again, it's going to be position absolute. Because we're saying this is where we want it to be. And let's try transform. And we want it to sort of translate. We want it to move sort of minus 50% up, minus 50% to the left. So let's say translate. I've spelled that right. Yep, translate. And we'll just open some regular brackets, some regular rounded brackets, and inside we'll say minus 50% for the top and bottom, and minus 50% for the left and right as well. So minus 50% and minus 50%. A bit of colon after that one. Now let's just see what that's done. Control S to save. Back to the site. Yeah, great. Well, I know it's kind of covered up all the pictures here, but it has actually done what we wanted to do here. So we'll have to add some vendor prefixes to this in a moment. I'll show you that. Let's say text align sender, see if that brings the button to the middle. Should do. Did I say? Yeah, I did say. Right, that's brought the button to the middle. Now we need to push it down. I'd say 50%, that's going to be way too much because of the height of it. So let's say 30%. Let's say padding top 30%. Again, we can always change this if it's wrong. I'm kind of guessing. I could have done this in the Chrome browser, but let's do it this way. Control S. Good, we're getting there. That's a little bit too far. And what I was saying about the Chrome browser is if I inspect this, there's our padding top 30. If I click on it, left click on it, so it highlights, I can just roll my, let's just move this up a little bit. put my cursor over it, I can roll up and down, and you see it's moving in real time. Let's put it in the middle there. It's about right, I don't know, 26. Say 27%, that looks about right. So let's change that to 27%. And I've got a feeling, if we look at the overlay, the actual overlay itself is too wide. I think it's covering the gutters at the side of the picture, the image. So there's the overlay. Here we are. Here we go. Here's the width for the overlay. Again, I'm just left clicking on that. Let's bring that in a little bit until we can see the image. There we are. See the image underneath? Oh, a little bit more. Right there. So that's what, 93%. So let's change that to 93%. That's why I suggest you use the Chrome. It's got that inspector in there, which is absolutely wonderful. So we said width 93%. All right. So we've kind of done what we wanted to do, but I don't want that to be that color. And also I want to kind of see the image behind there. So here's our color. Change this to this. A bit more like it. There we are. We can still see the image behind it. Okay, that's fine. There we are. That should change it to an RGBA value, which is more browser, cross-browser friendly too. So I'm going to copy that. That's the color. And change that light blue to that color there. Fine. Okay, got 2 semicolons there. Don't need that. Save that. Let's just get rid of this for a moment and do a refresh. Okay. Why did our padding go away? Did I not put the padding in there? Oh, I got 2 percentage marks behind there, so that's probably not going to work. Like with most coding, you've got to get it exactly right, else you've got to go back and debug it and figure out what's happening, what's not happening. All right, so we've got our button, we've got our overlay, but the thing is, we don't want to see that overlay until we put our mouse over there. So let's make it disappear. Here's the overlay. Let's give it the class of opacity. That's the see-throughness, or opacity, however you like to say it. And we'll say opacity 0, which is totally transparent. Which you might say, well, that's great, it's going to make it disappear. What's the point of having it in the first place? How are you going to bring it back? Well, that is the little bit of magic we'll do next. So refresh, and it should be all gone. Boom, gone. Okay, so it's all gone, and so that last 20 minutes was a complete waste of time. Or was it? No, it wasn't. We can bring it back by simply... What's the class name of the... Let's give this another class. All of our little images here, let's give them another class. Let's call it image hov. IMG hov. Like I say, you can call it what you want, just remember I like to give it something that kind of give me a clue of what's going on here. Let's add that to all of our little divs here. Now we've given it an extra class, this whole little thing of image hover, or image hov. So it's a class, IMGHOV. Now, what do we want it to do? When it hovers, so it's colon, no space, hover, we want it to do something to the overlay class. So we put .overlay because it's a class. What do we want it to do? We made it opacity of 0, which is totally transparent. So we want to say simply opacity 1, which is fully visible. And let's save that. Control S, back to the site, and do a refresh. Okay, that's not working. Let's see where I went wrong here. Debug. And again, because I was talking, it looks like I've spelled it wrong there. Overlay. Control S, let's try it now. There we go. And it's doing it. But, of course, it's doing it instantly. It'd be nicer if it did it not as instantly. It's doing exactly what we want. The button's appearing. So let's go and make this happen a little bit slower. So let's say in the overlay section itself, let's say transition. It's going on a bit this video, I apologize, but it's worthwhile. It's a great little thing to do. Let's say 3/4 a second. No, let's say half a second. Say 0.5 seconds. And let's just have it ease in. So we can say that, or we can say ease in, ease out. But I think that will probably work, just the ease. So it'll kind of ease. And I think that's probably going to do it. Yeah, let's make that 3/4 a second. 0.75. Try it again. There we go. I think that'll do nicely. Let's get rid of that blue background and also add a link to that button so it actually goes somewhere. Let's take that away, the background blue. And let's just get, I guess I'll use my own website URL for the link. But of course you can link it wherever you want it to. So let's wrap our buttons in an href or an A tag. Here's our button. That's right, a href equals, and the link where we want it to go. Now that'll actually work, but I want it to open in a new. Let's close that pointy bracket out and put the closing anchor tag behind whatever it is we want to encapsulate, which is the button there. I put it in the wrong place. Let's cut that. I get things wrong when I talk and do stuff. Okay, so we've wrapped our button in that A tag. There's many different ways of doing it. I could have just written A and left it open with the button there, but this will work for me. So let's copy this to the other buttons as well. Actually, before I do that, what I'm going to put here is target equals, and then it's an underscore and blank. And what that'll do is it'll tell the browser to open it in a new tab rather than take you away from the existing site. That's what I prefer to do. That's entirely up to you. Copy those, and of course we'll have to copy the closing anchor tags as well. Which is there. And put it just after the button closing tag there. That's great, we've got that. And the other thing that I was saying was the transform translate. We'll have to put some what they call vendor prefixes there to make sure that it's compatible with all browsers. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say WebKit dash WebKit dash, paste that after it again. And for older Microsoft browsers, we can do MS. I think they fixed some of these errors now. Just to be sure, if you want to check your site afterwards, it's a good idea to put these. There's another one, you can put one in for Mozilla, but I think Mozilla's fixed now, the Firefox. Their latest version, but I could be wrong. It's always a good idea to check these things in these different browsers afterwards. So let's save that, Control S, and hopefully we're done. I'll refresh, this blue should go away. There we go. That's it, our little button's just appearing when we hover over. Let's click it. There, it takes it, as you can see, another tab to the new site there. So there you go. There you have how to add some hover overlays with a button that'll take you to wherever it is you want to take your visitors. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In our next video, what I'm going to do is we'll use the same thing, but have a bit of text or something in there, and we'll have a modal or a modal pop up when we click on it rather than just a link there. If you're interested in web design, take a look below. I've got some great free courses down there. We've also got some premium courses with some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers. So do take a look. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.